Alright, hello there. Once again, this is XF Awkward here, and today I'm going to be talking about another one of these solo queue mindsets. And we're going to be discussing today why you really shouldn't be angry at people making mistakes in solo queue. Alright, before we get into that actual topic, I want to stop and kind of construct this real quick. The concept that it really takes a lot to win a game. When you stop and think about, people have to pick the correct champions, they have to pick the correct builds, they have to move correctly throughout the game, whether that's in lane or just moving back and forth between rotations, whether we're talking about timing, like hitting skill shots, making sure that you're in the right place at the right time, we're talking about decision making, all this stuff, it kind of piles onto itself, it mounds up, and then all these decisions will lead either to victory or they'll lead to defeat, right? And 10 people in this game, both you and your enemy team, have different inputs on this, which can completely change the outcome of a game, right? Victory can be made or broken completely by one player making a right or wrong decision at any point in the game, right? And this can be kind of frustrating sometimes when you consider the fact that you're only in control of yourself. You can't really control the rest of your team. You can't stop somebody on your team from doing something that you don't think is a good idea or that you think is just downright dumb, right? If someone wants to tower dive at level 2, the only thing you can really do is backping her and hope that she's going to listen to you. Other than that, it's not what you can do. But let's put away the focus from your team for a second. Let's stop and take a look at ourselves, right? Let's be honest, you make mistakes. You make big mistakes that you probably shouldn't be making, but they happen over and over again. But that's totally all right because we're here to learn from them, right? This is completely acceptable, and it's actually one of the best ways to improve is looking at the mistakes you keep making over and over again and finding out how you can stop that. And solo queue is really built for giving you a playground to find out what all this is. It's a really good tool for finding the mistakes that you make consistently and figuring out how to fix them. Remember that you are here in solo queue to focus on yourself and what you are doing, not what your team is doing, right? Once you realize that you're focusing on yourself, then it becomes a little bit easier to remember that other people are trying to do the same thing too, right? They're on their own journey for self-improvement. They're all trying to get better along the way, right? They may be making mistakes that you don't normally make, but they're playing to figure out what these mistakes are and how can they fix them. Right? It's not your job to sit there and teach them and lose focus of yourself, nor is it worthwhile to really fixate on their inputs in the game, right? Because this takes away focus from yourself on what you could be doing and figuring out where your mistakes are and making you play a little bit worse. But at the same time, even if you do successfully teach somebody a little bit better way to play the game, you don't really get to reap the benefits of that because they're going to move on to their own game in the future, and you'll probably never really see them again. The rare chance that you actually teach them and it benefits you, it's just too big of a gamble to not focus on yourself. Now, instead of focusing on our team and the mistakes that we're making, let's look at it on the other end. Let's look at the enemy team and how they're actually reacting to these mistakes, right? In every single game, you're given opportunities to make something happen because the enemy team makes mistakes. Now, whether that's somebody overextends so you gank them or somebody just doesn't understand their power spikes or they don't know how to build correctly, you have opportunities to make plays happen because the enemy has made mistakes. It's just the way it is. Those same opportunities are going to be presented to the enemy team through you and your teammates. When the enemy team correctly plays against you and your team, they deserve to win just a little bit more than you do, and you really shouldn't degrade that situation. Now, a lot of times people don't think that they're actually doing this, but let's stop and look at it this way, right? Imagine somebody's watching your gameplay of you doing really, really well. Imagine you're going like 10-0 and you're doing a great job, but somebody who's watching this starts saying, well, look, this guy's not very good. He's not actually that good. He's just playing against people that are really bad. Like, it's just the enemy team's too bad, and he's not good. That kind of sucks, right? That's really what focusing on mistakes does. You're saying it's more important to note what was wrong instead of what was actually done right. What I think we should do in these situations instead is analyze what the enemy does right in these situations, not what your team is doing wrong, right? If your team does something dumb, like they tried tower diving early on in the game, try analyzing what the enemy did to make sure that tower dive didn't end up being successful, right? That way, when you are in a similar situation, you can be like, I know how that guy got out of it, so I know what I can do to make this work, right? Last thing that I think you want to keep in mind when you're playing is that you are not playing with professional players, right? You are playing with people just like you. once again, be honest with yourself. You make mistakes, you make major ones at that, and so do your team. And they're all just trying to make sure that they can get better, right? Your team and you are trying to improve, and that's only going to happen through trial and error and repeated practice. And when you keep this in mind, it makes it a little bit easier to sympathize with their struggle, right? So let's go back to the very start and let's stop and think about this. Think about all the things that it takes to win a game. You got the Bills, you got the champions, you got all that. Even the professionals that play this game day in and day out, they don't make all of the right decisions all the time. And you really shouldn't expect any kind of flawless performance from you and your team, because it's just unfair to them, because you don't really hold yourself to that same standard. And it's unfair to you because you're not giving yourself the opportunity to learn as well as you could. So just kind of relax. Don't focus on the single victories every single time. Just look to improve yourself as best as you can. Thank you guys once again for watching. If you enjoyed this video, I'd more like it on this YouTube page. You could also check out my Facebook page at facebook.com/xfawkward, or you could drop by the stream sometime at twitch.tv/xfawkward, where I do gameplay analysis and try to answer any and all questions that come my way. Thank you guys once again for watching. I really do appreciate it, and we'll have another one of these vlogs out soon. Bye-bye.